Hello, children. Welcome to the chapter Absorption by Roots. So, as you all know, that when plants want to carry out various metabolic activities like photosynthesis, they need water to carry out that process. Uh, for different repair and protection, they require certain enzymes to be produced, and for that, they require different minerals. And these both things, that is, water and minerals, are absorbed from the soil with the help of roots. So, it's very important for us to understand this mechanism, that is absorption by roots, in detail. But before going to that, we have to understand that this particular mechanism, that is absorbing water and minerals from the soil, is a very complicated one. It's not very simple, so it depends upon different phenomena. So we have to understand different terms and how this phenomenon takes place. So first one, you will see this picture which is shown on the screen. Here you can see that different seeds are shown, and some of them here, as you can see this seed, here the seed coat which is there on the seed is ruptured. Okay, so now how this particular seed coat is ruptured, and you can see that the seeds are in swollen conditions. So that means whenever there is moisture or you soak the seeds in water, the seed coat adsorb. I'm not using the word absorb, it is adsorbing. ADSORBING. Adsorbing means through surface attraction. It absorbs water and it ruptures. So this particular process, you must have seen that when you are using wooden furniture. So that time during rainy season, as there is lots of moisture in the atmosphere, you must have observed that your wooden cupboards or wooden doors, they, it's difficult to pull them or to open them because they swell when there is moisture in the air. So that is due to surface attraction. The moisture gets adhered or get absorbs to the surface of the wooden furniture. So doors and you know even the uh, cupboards doors which are made up of wood, you will feel that it becomes difficult to pull or to close it sometimes. You must have observed. So this particular process has a different name which you're going to learn today. So that is known as imbibition. So what is imbibition? Let's see the definition of imbibition. So imbibition is a phenomenon by which living or dead plant cells absorb water by surface attraction. As I'm using surface attraction over here, it's okay if I don't use the word absorb. But if you're using instead of absorb, it is known as adsorbing if you're not using surface attraction word. So adsorbing water means on the surface the water gets adhered. So that particular phenomena can happen with the living plant cell or the dead plant cell. As I have told you, furniture, these are the dead plant cells. So this particular phenomena is seen both in living and dead plant cells, and the word is very important: imbibition. Now here, when you are writing the definition for imbibition, please stick to the textbook and learn the textbook definition. So this is the textbook definition. You don't use the word adsorb, use the word absorb water by surface attraction. Now we have to understand that what are the reasons of imbibition. First thing is cellulose or protein. So the cell wall is made up of cellulose, as we have learned this in standard 9, or sometimes it is made up of protein. So both of these, like cellulose and proteins, are hydrophilic. Hydrophilic means they like water. Philic means attracting water or liking water. So they hydro means water. So philic is liking and hydro means water. So both cellulose and protein like water. So what they do is they imbibe. That means through surface attraction they absorb water or moisture and then they swell up. Okay. So this is the reason of imbibition. Now, where you can see this imbibition, you can see this in dry seeds, as I have told you that when you soak it in water or due to moisture, also you can see that effect. But mostly seeds, when it is soaked in water, you can see that effect. With wooden doors, you can see that whenever it is rainy season and there is lots of moisture in the atmosphere, they swell up due to imbibition. Now, the seed coat ruptures in the case of germinating seeds. Now, this particular phenomena, imbibition, is very important for ascent of sap. Ascent of sap means whenever the minerals or they are to be transported, because you have learned in standard 9 that whenever it is water sent to the leaves from the roots, it is transported to the leaves. That time, which particular conducting vessel helps in doing that? It is xylem. And whenever minerals are sent, it is done with the help of xylem, of course, because water is transported through xylem, but then there is ascent of sap. That means the sap which is present in the vacuoles, they are pushed, in the upward direction. That is, minerals plus water is pushed in the upward direction with the help of sap which is present in the vacuoles, and that particular sap contains the minerals. So this imbibition is important for the ascent of sap. That's why it is important for you to know this. Now the next one, here you can see this picture where you can see this is the solid which is concentrated over here, and after some time you can see what happens is it spreads, okay, in all the direction. So that means the solute which was concentrated at one place now has got spread to the different areas in this particular solution where its concentration was less. So it got spread everywhere. So this particular spread, you can see that this is a beaker in which the water and the solute are in close contact with each other, and the solute which was concentrated in this area now has spread to different areas where its concentration was less. Now this is with respect to solute. Okay, so this particular process which is taking place in this way is known as diffusion. Now you must have observed that sometimes when you are burning the incense stick, so if your mother is burning it in one room, where she is praying, but you will get the aroma of that in the next room. So what happens is when you're burning the incense stick, the chemicals, when it is burning, it gets converted into gaseous state. And this particular gas gets diffused, means it spreads from where it was concentrated. In one room, it was concentrated. So its concentration was high in that room. And it spread to the area where the concentration of that particular gas was low, and it was in close contact with that. So there is no particular membrane which is there when it is spreading. It gets, that's why the word diffusion is used. So we'll see the definition of diffusion over here. The diffusion is the free movement of a substance. Now the substance can be in any state. It can be solid. That's why word solute is used. Solvent means it can be liquid or gas. So its free movement when it takes place from the region of higher concentration to the region of their lower concentration. When two are in direct contact, then the process is known as diffusion. Now after that, you will see that one more picture is shown over here, where you can see that here there is a membrane which is kept in this beaker. Now the beaker is divided into two sections. You can see the blue dots which are there. they are used for showing solute. Now here I'll say that this particular solute is a salt solution. Okay, so I'll just mark it. So this blue color which is shown over here is the salt solute, that is salt. So here you can see that the concentration of salt um, is less over here, and the concentration of salt is high over here. So what has happened after some time, that the level of the solution which was higher, which was having a higher concentration of solute, that particular level has increased. Okay, and this particular level has decreased. So what can you guess from this particular diagram? So you can guess that the water which was present, because the amount of solute, whatever was present over here, the same amount of solute is present over here as well. But what has happened is the level of water has gone high over here. That means the water from this particular area where the concentration of solute was less has moved to that particular area where the concentration of solute was high. That means the water, you can say that this is dilute solution and this is a concentrated solution. So the water from the dilute solution has moved to the concentrated solution. So this particular process where there is a membrane, there is a semi-permeable membrane. The semi-permeable membrane, because it is not allowing solute to move, but it is allowing solvent, that is the water, to move from lower concentration of the solute to the higher concentration of the solute, means higher concentration of water to the lower concentration of water. With terms of concentration of water, here the concentration of water was high because here is a dilute solution, and here the concentration of water was less because it is a concentrated solution with respect to the solute I am talking. So don't get confused. So this particular process is named as osmosis. So let's see the definition of osmosis. So osmosis is uh, movement of water molecules. Here, when we are talking about, we have seen that diffusion means it can be with respect to solute or solvent, that is solid, liquid, and gas. But when we are talking about osmosis, it is the movement of water molecules from the region of higher concentration, that is the dilute solution, to the region of lower concentration, that is concentrated solution, through a semi-permeable membrane. So semi-permeable membrane is also very important. These are the keywords. Now over here, these are the different terms which we are going to understand with respect to osmosis. Endoosmosis, exoosmosis, hypotonic solution, isotonic solution, and hypertonic solution. Now what is the meaning of endoosmosis and exoosmosis? As you know, the word endo means it's going inside. So here you can see that this is, we have shown that this is a water medium and the cell is kept inside the water. So the water from outside is moving inside the cell. As it is moving inside the cell, the word endoosmosis is used. Okay. Now here you can see that, this is salt solution, for example. So the water which was inside the cell, the concentration of water inside the cell was more compared to the water outside, because this is a highly concentrated salt solution and there is no salt inside the cell. So water is more. So water from inside is moving outside, that is from the uh, higher concentration area to the lower concentration area. So when the water moves from higher, and this is a semi-permeable membrane, that is the cell membrane. So the water from the higher concentration is moving to lower concentration area. So this particular process is known as exoosmosis because it is moving outside the cell. Now here the water from the higher concentration area is moving to the lower concentration area through the semi-permeable membrane, that is the cell membrane. But as it is moving inside the cell, it is known as endoosmosis. So with respect to endoosmosis and exoosmosis, the solution where you are placing the cell is known as hypotonic solution or hypertonic solution. Hypotonic here means with respect to solute, hypo means less and tonic means this concentration. Okay, so tonicity we say concentration. So if you talk about the medium over here, it's plain water. So plain water has no solute, no sugar, no salt. That means the solute concentration is zero. It is very, very less compared to the concentration of solute inside the cytoplasm of the cell. Because when you are talking about the cytoplasm, it has certain, um, you know, certain solutes which are in the stored form. So compared to that, the water outside is having no solute, so it is hypotonic because the concentration of solute is very, very less outside. So now from outside, because the concentration of solute is less, the concentration of water is more as it is a dilute solution. So the water from outside moves inside because the concentration of water outside is more compared to the concentration of water inside the cell. So this particular solution is known as hypotonic. So whenever the cell is placed in hypotonic solution, the cell swells. Okay, remember that. There is swelling of the cell which takes place. And whenever the solution is hypertonic, because here you can see that here also in this particular cell, it is shown that the cell has shrunken. Why it has shrunken? Because the water which was inside the cell has gone outside because the concentration of water inside the cell was more compared to the concentration of water outside, and that's the reason water from inside the cell has moved outside. So this is exoosmosis when it is placed in the hypertonic solution. So the cell shrinks when it is placed in hypertonic. And isotonic means the concentration of water inside the cell and outside the cell is same. So that's why the cell will not change its shape when it is placed in isotonic solution. Children, I hope that here it's clear. Now we'll understand the difference between osmosis and diffusion. So here you can see diffusion means liquid, gas and solid all can get diffused. That means free movement can take place. In case of osmosis, it is only water which is moving from higher concentration to lower concentration. Movement of molecules of solute or solvent. Here movement of only water will take place as a solvent. This is rapid in gases but slow in water, and when you compare it with solid and water, it's slow, but in with respect to gas, it's fast. So or rapid. So that's the reason when I gave you the example of incense stick, your mother is burning that incense stick in one room, immediately you get the fragrance or the aroma of that in the other room. The reason is in case of gases, it is very rapid. When you're talking about osmosis, it is comparatively slow process. It will take half an hour or an hour to show the change. Then here, transport from high to low concentration along the gradient. In this case also it is from higher to low concentration, but with respect to solute, we have written low to high. But when you are writing the definition for osmosis, use the definition which was shown in the previous slide. It will go easier for you to remember that with respect to the concentration of the water, it moves from higher concentration to lower concentration. Occurs with or without the non-living membrane. So there is no need of a membrane. It can be there or it cannot be there. But in case of osmosis, a semi-permeable membrane is necessary. It has to be there. Then only you can call it osmosis. Otherwise, it is diffusion. Now here there are certain experiments which explains osmosis. So here you can see parchment paper, which is shown over here. This is a semi-permeable membrane. This is a Tissot funnel, and in the Tissot funnel there is a sugar solution, and it is placed in a plain water. The beaker outside has a plain water. So if this is a plain water which is placed outside, children, what do you think, which type of solution the Tissot funnel is placed in? Yes, you all are right. It is a hypotonic solution. So the water outside is a hypotonic solution. So it is a hypotonic solution. So when it is placed in hypotonic solution, what will happen? The concentration of water outside is more than the concentration of water inside the Tissot funnel, and that's why what will happen? Water will move from outside to the inside. So that is endoosmosis is taking place, and because endoosmosis is taking place, the level of the water in the Tissot funnel will rise. So let's see. You can see over here, uh, there are two arrangements are shown, that is arrangement A and arrangement B. Here we have taken cellophane. Sorry. So as parchment paper, cellophane is also semi-permeable membrane. Now here when it is shown that time, you can see that the arrangement B and arrangement A, there is a difference. Here inside the Tissot funnel also it is water in the arrangement B, and outside also it is water. Sorry. So that means it is isotonic solution. But here when you can see the Tissot funnel is having sugar solution in arrangement A out inside the Tissot funnel, and outside it is having water. So where do you think the change will be seen? Yes. So you are right that it will be seen in arrangement A, that the level of water will rise. The reason is endoosmosis is taking place, as this is a hypotonic solution. The water from outside, where the level of water, the concentration of water is higher, from higher concentration area, it will move to the lower concentration area, and that's the reason the water level will rise. What do you think will happen over here? As it is an isotonic solution, same concentration of water outside and inside the Tissot funnel. So there will be no change, and because there is no change, it's taken as the control. So this particular arrangement B is taken as the control. The reason is what will happen is it will help you to compare the initial condition and the final condition, that is before the experiment was started. How was the condition? The initial condition, how was it? To compare that initial condition with the final condition, that is after the experiment is completed, there was change, and how much was the change. So for the comparison, it's always good to have the control. So that's the reason arrangement B is acting like a control. Okay, children. Now we go to the next part where you are understanding what is turgidity and placidity. Now, see, when you are saying that the cell which was shown over here has swollen when it was dipped or soaked in the hypotonic solution. So this particular swelling, when the cells are swollen, this swelling, that particular state and condition, the condition is known as turgidity. Word condition is important when you're talking about turgidity. And the state is turgid. That means it has become tight. When you touch the swollen thing, it has become tight because it is filled with water. It is distended with water. And that particular condition is turgidity and state is turgid. Now when the cells shrink, that time it becomes loose. So the state where you can see that it has become loose because it has lost all the water concentration, This particular condition is known as flaccidity and the state is known as flacid. Okay, so these terms, as I told you, are important and learning the definitions are very, very important from this chapter. So turgidity, when you're writing, is the condition of a cell in which the cell wall is rigid, very tight, and stretched by an increase in the volume of vacuoles due to absorption of water. So water is absorbed and that's why it has become tight. So this particular condition is known as turgidity. And turgidity is seen when the cell is placed in the hypotonic solution. Flaccidity is the condition in which the content is shrunken and the cell is no more tight. Okay. So this particular condition is seen when the cell is soaked in hypertonic solution. So these are very important terms for you to understand and the definitions are important in this chapter. Now flaccid is the state in which the cell content is shrunken and the cell is no more tight. And turgid is a state of the cell. So whenever state is used, because it will be asked in the name the following. So whenever it is denoted with the word in the name the following, what is the condition of the cell? So you have to use the word turgidity. And if they say what is the condition of the cell when it is shrunken, then you have to use the term flaccidity. You will not be getting marks if you write flaccid or turgid when the word condition is used. When the word state is used, what is the state of the cell? When the cell is in the shrunken state, you have to say flaccid. State means flaccid. Here also, if the word state is used when the cell wall is rigid and stretched, then you will use the word turgid. Children, I hope till here it's clear. Now the next term is plasmolysis. Now this particular word, when are you going to use? When the whenever the cell is shrinking. Okay, here you can see that the cell is shrunken. Okay, so now when the cell shrinks, what happens is it is losing its water content which was inside the cell. Now when it is losing the water content, where is the water content? It is inside the cell membrane. Okay, because the cytoplasm has the water content which is enclosed in the cell membrane. So when you're talking about the cell wall of the plant cell, the cell wall will not be moving. Because it's rigid, it will have the same shape, but the cell membrane will change its shape. Now, because the cell membrane is moving away from the cell wall, this particular condition in the plant cell is known as plasmolysis. So plasmolysis will only be seen in case of the plant cell because that is the contraction of cytoplasm from the cell wall and cell wall is only present in plant cell. So if plant cell is shown and you can see over here the cytoplasm is moving away from the cell wall. So due to withdrawal of water when it is placed in hypertonic solution, that particular condition is only known as plasmolysis. So if it is shown an animal cell and in that if the shrinkage is taking place, like for example RBC, human RBC is an animal cell. So the shrinkage of RBC, can you call it plasmolysis? No, you will call it flaccidity. But when it is with respect to plant cell like raisin, that's a plant cell. So it has cell wall. So when the cytoplasm is moving away from the cell wall, that particular state or condition or contraction of cytoplasm is known as plasmolysis. So I hope children it's clear about plasmolysis. Now deplasmolysis means the reversal. Suppose if you dip this in hypotonic solution, what will happen? The cell wall will remain over there and the cell membrane will come back because it is now absorbing water and it will swell or it will become turgid and it will come back to its original position. The cell membrane will come back to its original position. So that particular reversal is known as deplasmolysis. So children, these terms, please learn whichever